that of like, hey, was it really necessary for you to be on the red carpets and so forth? Because with that came all the DMs of like, you're so old, you're so ugly, whatever else, to the point where she flew without his knowledge to Brazil to get massive plastic surgery and she had a cardiac arrest in the middle of the operation and almost died. And you're not going to tell me that's not because of social media and keeping the relationship public. And I'm like, why not keep it private? She's like, well, I want to experience all that stuff that he's going through, my husband and so forth. But it's a double-edged sword is what I'm saying.
Thank you. Usher was the star, not his wife. Steph Curry, Alicia Curry, Steph is the star, not you. But so many women are trying to be the very men they want and wonder why you can't keep a man. It's not like Miss Usher didn't sell one album, one album as far as I know. Alicia Curry ain't hit one three-pointer. But this is what tends to happen too often. You get a man that other women want, and then you want, instead of just being happy he's yours and playing your role to be the inspirational muse, you want to be president, except you ain't did what it took to be up there. And we got women running around telling women, girl, go ahead and take the money, leave, such and so forth. And what ends up happening? As soon as they wreck their homes, leave or walk out of that situation, you got another broken family, more kids who are split from their parents, all those other kind of things. And then the women who are sitting around championing this stuff, nowhere to be found. Ladies, you have to make a decision. If you're going to be with somebody, be with somebody. But this whole wanting to be with, anyway, let me get on topic.
I'm not arguing that it's a double-edged sword, but to go, I guess in secret, to go get your body done because you felt pressured, that's an internal issue. That's a user error. Yes, social media is a very, very, very cruel place. It's a cruel world, but I think you have to use discernment. And of course, naturally, you do care what people think. And if you don't care what people think, you're probably a serial killer. So yeah, there's going to be an extent to where you do care what people say about you. But as a user, you have to know that your opinion reigns above all else. And if it doesn't, you're sneaking on flights to go get your body done and almost risking your life to maintain an image that is not real. So I don't think just anybody can just be on social media and use it responsibly. I've just been doing it for such a long time that you start to see through the bullshit and see how the game is played to where I don't even go in the comments. Like, I'm not going in there reading all of them because words are alive. They have lasting effects. Once you see them, you cannot unsee them.
Thank you. Remember that when you start talking this stuff to women. Words are alive. I'm with you. They are. And if you're called and you have influence, then think about the average women you're talking to. Think about the men who are out there hearing you say good for her. If words are alive, you do have a son. Words are alive. But see, far too often, men get spoken about in ways where almost objects, utilities, inhuman. And when women speak about men, they tend to put the face or the experiences of the men that hurt them onto all of us. That's bullshit.
It's in your subconscious, even if you're not thinking about it. So I think people got to start putting the phone down. This is coming from a person who's made their living off of my phone. You got to put the phone down. Get out the fucking comment section. Get out of your mentions. Why do you care so much? Okay, so like I said, that's internal, but I do agree. Private, public, hey, if it can be destroyed by the truth, then it should be destroyed by the truth. And maybe, like you said, is it Hulk Hogan? Maybe that show revealed things to them that were dormant in their relationship. You never know. But if it was meant to work out, it would have worked out. Show her.
Bullshit. Again, here's that predeterminism stuff. If it failed, it was supposed to fail. I want you to understand how infuriating this mindset is to men. On the one hand, you want to be able to do what you want to and make your choices. But on the other hand, when the consequences happen, it's out of my control. It's the universe. It was meant to be. The show revealed something magically. This is why men are frustrated with modern women. Because you will say anything to make your point, and it doesn't make sense with the thing you just said.
No show. That's just my point. It's like, if something's going to work out, it's going to work out.
I feel you. I feel you. Listen, we all have our own moral compass. We all have our own values. And, trying to get through this life ain't easy.
Yeah.
You're going to hit, bad luck will come, sooner or later. Reality will come. Shit happens.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it seems like, the one thing that I've liked through this whole, interview is that you really take responsibility for everything that's happened to you. You haven't played a victim. You're not blaming everyone else for whatever issues you went through. And I feel like you're looking at life realistically, which to me is the most important thing, because it's very easy to become a victim in this world and just say, all these things that are happening to me are other people's fault. I'm just, bad things just keep happening to me for no reason. When the reality is that we all play a part in everything that happens, and when you hit these tough situations, they can work out different ways depending on how both people play it out. Yeah. I definitely feel for your position, which is why I said what I said, in the John Sally interview. That is, it's tough, to really have a relationship. It's hard to raise a kid, especially on your own, and with social media pressure and with, you talk about the NBA and that whole organization and the image that they try to portray and the way that women are viewed in society and so forth, where a woman dating a man slightly younger than her is considered taboo, whereas a man dating a woman twice the age difference between you and PJ is considered totally normal. So
this is where I have an issue. When I sat down with Vlad, I know you try to, play it a little bit more in the gray area. It's not the way society looks at it. It's the way nature looks at it. There's always been age gap dating, always been age gaps, because men are fertile far into their lives while women have a biological clock. See, you cannot re-engineer human beings to fit your culture, to fit your current narrative. Women are trying to re-legislate men's attractiveness, trying to tell a man that a woman who weighs more than him is just as sexy and pretty. And it's like, that ain't how that shit works. Women with means have always had the ability to date younger men. But see, I want to say something to what they both just said. This whole thing about the age gap, this and that. Let me play devil's advocate here. What happens when these school teachers end up sleeping with their younger male classmates? Even if they do go to jail, come out and put a 13-year-old boy on child support. But if a man were to do the same thing, oh boy. So the way women are portrayed today, women are not victims. Women, if anything, I could make a convincing argument to where men are suffering heavily today, which is one of the reasons platforms like this are so popular, because there's such a one-sided narrative. I want you to understand that there is a Britney component of this, which I don't have any problem with what an individual wants to do. But when we start extrapolating it to men and women, the whole energy about men and women's relationships was men negative, relationship bad, man not good. That's bullshit. And I will push back against it any day. I gonna sit down and be friends with you, be cool with you. I'm still cool with Britney. I even told her I'm going in on this one, not on her personally. I like Britney. I think she's a nice person. But I think some of the things you were saying regarding women and relationships, regular everyday people, is bullshit. It's dangerous, and it needs to be pushed back on heavily and countered with the facts. You can have an opinion all you want to, but how is this going to work out for the rank and file men and women that we're saying women need to stand up and start doing what? Stand up and start doing what? Exercise what option? What?
You got to deal with that,
And that's
unfortunately.
okay.
But that's just the world that we live in.
It is, and I think it just helps, standing in your truth, whatever that is, whether it's a 6-year age gap or a 20-year age gap, and you just live in your truth. And I think I take accountability for everything that I do. I don't play the shame game and just blame, because when you blame others, you miss out on the opportunity to grow. And if I say all this stuff happened to me because of external forces, I'm giving my power away. So that's why for me, I love my child's father to death. That's why I had a baby with him, But there are things in that relationship, when I played the voice text, there are things that came to the surface for me that I'm like, moving forward, this will never happen again. Like, I will never accept this, do that, talk to someone like in that manner. Like, I'm not proud of that voice text. That was just my reality. There are things that I need to work on. And I have no problem owning my truth and saying, you know what, like, I tried my best. And sometimes that's all the closure you'll get, is just knowing you gave it your all.
Yeah, I mean, you also don't know what the future will hold. People, emotions are not permanent. You hate a person to death one day and you get over it, the next day. And at the end of the day, you guys have a baby, and that baby's not going anywhere.
Nope.
So you guys are going to be linked really for the rest of your lives.
Yeah. So, Brittany, her relationship, her personal relationship with PJ is not my issue. I know a lot of people wanted me to go in on that. Not my issue. But see, one of the problems men have with women today is you want it all. And the way you ladies talk is though you should be, everything, there should be no rules, no structure. It's like you want everything. But then the men you deal with, what do they get? They get a bunch of expectations, a bunch of demands, and then when it doesn't work, there's something wrong with what the men did. So if we were to just Thanos snap the world away, Thanos snap it this way. If you ladies were in charge, how would you make things work? If you were all of a sudden the power, if there was no such thing as the patriarchy. Because the way a lot of women talk is though that you're so oppressed and that men are so bad. And we gotta watch out for the bad old men and we gotta protect the women and da-da-da-da-da-da. But guess what? In our black community, we've seen what it looks like. A lot of brothers aren't in their homes anymore. It's not because they don't want to be. And you can make a strong argument that even under Jim Crow segregation and some of the worst racial discrimination, that the black community was in a better place because we had nuclear family. I am always going to advocate for gender roles and for the men who want to get married and the women who want to get married, the people who want family. See, the problem we all tend to suffer from, and this is my opinion, my belief, is that we want traditional outcomes. We want marriage, we want happy family and structure, but we want modern, we want partnership, inequality. Right, until shit goes left. Then you want the men to be the men. And that's what the men are saying. The men are saying, we know the truth. You want the men to be responsible for the lion's share of the bills, if not all. I know a lot of women will say the lion's share, but what they really mean is all. I've seen it for too long. And what I'm going to need modern women to start doing is stop talking about men like men are the problem. No, the men you pick are the problems. That's the point. That's why this whole men's space and men's content has even come up, because women have talked about men in relationships for so long and have not taken stock in, hey, why do we keep picking, especially in our community, why are 80% of the children made by 16% of the men? Why do we keep picking the same very guys, and then when stuff particularly doesn't work, because we didn't choose, because we chose to not require marriage before we had children, because we chose to do things out of order, then we want to sit back and say, well, what is marriage? It's just a piece of paper. If it's going to fail, it's going to fail. It's going to be this, it's going to be that. I was young and I was dumb. Men are tired of hearing that stuff from you ladies. Men, we've done it for 50 plus years. Your way, it's time to try our way. Your way doesn't work. Our way has a go out recorded history, a track record of work. But then that's where it's going to get down to. A lot of women got to admit, they like the power, they like the spotlight, they want to be in charge. And that's why I say, Brittany, she is going to find spotlight. That's why a lot of you guys didn't understand. I knew who I was talking to in an interview. She's going to do her. That's her. That's legitimately her. And I like it, because she is who she is. But like I told her, that day, that weekend when I met her, and I told her, I have an issue when you start trying to tell other women that this is what's right for them. No, absolutely not. Nope. Because other women don't have the access. All right, so a lot of guys got upset too when I sat down with Brittany. I'm going to sit down with more people that you likely going to disagree with. And if they say something that I find disagreeable, I'll call that shit out too. And she'll probably have something to say about this, but I'm not saying anything about her relationship. But this whole women need to stand up and live in their truth and their power. What does that mean? Who is oppressing you? You look at the stats. I'm not going to say some of the key words, but you look at the stats, and men are the ones that are being oppressed. But that's not the popular narrative, because you know what? Why does this stuff work? Because 73 cents of every dollar is spent by women. You consume more. So advertisers, marketing platforms have more of a vested interest in telling you what you need to hear, so you keep buying stuff. Anywho, now let's open the call line. I want to hear from the ladies. Ladies, what did I get wrong? What did I miss? What did I overstate? Where was Brittany right in this situation? Now again, not about her and her relationship with PJ, because that is not the concern. That's those people's private relationship. But this whole greater thing, how is this going to be helpful for women? How's it going to be helpful for men? How's it going to be helpful for relationships? How's it going to be helpful for, how is what so many boss chicks, modern women, and people who want everything to be so unique and special, no rules, hands off, let me live in my truth and power. How do you build a family, a neighborhood, a community, a town, a city, a state, a country, and a nation out of that? That's what I want to talk about. How does that work? Where are the models for this stuff? Because I am starting to hear more and more women wanting to just be individuals. But here's the problem. You individual women are dying alone. I'm listening to Vivica Fox. I wanted to play that clip, but many people have already covered it. Vivica Fox talking about how she never was able to find a man to have a child with. I'm going to make my own standalone video about that. I think it's bullshit. You're almost 60 years old and you could never find a man. I hear Monty Love. I mean, I hear all these women always talk about men. They couldn't find men. But men aren't the problem. The men aren't the problem. There's a supply of men. The problem is we don't have enough women who want to be wives. We have a lot of women who want to have children, a lot of women who want to get married, but too many women who don't want to be wives. And then you still want wife benefits. Homeless women on the rise. We have homeless women on the rise there. So shout out to Vlad for Vlad TV for letting me use that clip. Shout out to Brittany Renner. Still my friend associate. I don't use that word friend with anybody. Still think she's cool people. Think you're on that bullshit when you start talking about what women should do. Maybe a select group of women, but women in general, no thank you. No thank you. For all the guys out there who saying, see, I told you, you shouldn't have had her on the program. You should see, we knew it all the time. Guys, chestnut checkers. Chestnut checkers. Shout out to he said it's $133. Let me simplify. Keep up the excellent content. Techno Rush. Oh, I guess he said I got the Techno Rush. He said I'm the stream sponsor. I didn't do the conversion. My bad. Technological chaos. He came through. Here it is. I'm going to open it up for the first 30 minutes for the ladies, then I'm opening it up for 30 minutes for the guys. Because I want the men to be able to sound off too. Because this is the time I want to hear men, but you got to be on camera. You got to be on camera. The link's in the system. Because I know I took a lot of guys were saying, man, this is why we shouldn't have women in these spaces. No, gentlemen. You need to understand, this is a problem between men and women globally. And in the dark, behind the scenes, you got to have these conversations out in public. So people can decide what side of the table do they stand on. Women talking this, I got godchildren and God didn't see fit for me. My personal belief, I have a real problem with you being a feminist, a womanist, and you wanting to have truth and power and choice. And then when things don't work out, then all of a sudden it's destiny. That's bullshit. So when you chose to look over the guys who were suitable for you because you wanted to go for the men that made you tingle, but they wasn't looking to do what you wanted to do, that was you standing in your truth and power, right, Vivica? And women like her. But then when it don't work out the way you needed to work out, then God didn't see fit to bless you with children. Nah. Not gonna happen. Not gonna happen. I don't buy that one bit. You gotta get on camera, man. You like the camera angles? Let's do it this way. I'm loving it here in Miami. I got some exciting news coming up when I get back to the studio. Mina, I need to be able to see your face on camera. You got a bonnet on? Or was that on? What is that on your head? Hold on, let me see who you is. Okay.
It's the Nike hijab. Can you see it?
I got it. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am well. What do you got for me on the topic?
I just have a question. So I think you said earlier, like something about like always like seeing your truth, being in your truth, and how like that causes like women to have conflict with other people. And I was wondering if you could elaborate on that a bit more, because I feel like I feel like I relate to Brittany in that sense, where it's all about like being in your truth and being so honest. But I find that I'm sometimes like have trouble like connecting with other people.
It's people skills. Who do you want to hear somebody? Okay. It's not about being dishonest. It's about understanding that people are selfish. They got their own things going on. People don't want to hear about your truth and this and that, especially like in school. You got a project to get done, do the project. At work, you're there for a task. But so many women tend to mix their personal opinions in with their job stuff. That becomes an issue. That's not why you're there. That's number one. Number two, why is being in your truth worth being alone? You muted yourself. Take yourself off mute.
Oh, sorry. I just agree with you. That's a good point.
Okay. I didn't open it up for men yet, Josh. So, did I answer your question?
Yeah. Thank you so much.
No problem. All right. Go ahead and drop down. Hello, Erica. How are you? Go ahead and unmute. How are you? Go ahead.
Can you hear me okay?
I can. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Go ahead. What's your question?
Am I able to disagree with Brittany, or are you just, am I just here for?
Well, you're here to speak about what you want to speak about. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I think I like Brittany. I think she's an entertaining person.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel really sorry for her because I feel like she's lost hope in finding a mate worthy of changing for. I found I was really used to being like upfront before I met my husband. I'm 27 and I'm married.
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay.
I was used to being upfront before I met my husband, but I noticed that just his demeanor, his masculinity, and just his attitude made him super likable. And it wasn't long before he took the spotlight, and I was completely okay with that. Like
So
everywhere
when
he
you say,
goes,
let me ask you a question because I think you said something that's interesting. Because I like Brittany too, but you said you feel like she's lost hope in finding. What'd you say? A mate?
someone worthy of changing for.
Someone worthy of changing for. Explain.
Sure, yeah. So, when my husband and I first got married, I was running into a lot of issues, I thought, and I was just like, oh my gosh, why is he like this? Why is he like this? Until I had to start looking deeper within myself. And so I started praying, like, God,
Mm-hmm.
change me.
Mm-hmm.
Because, and then I found out that it wasn't him that needed to change, it was me.
Okay, I got it.
I was,
I got it. I mentioned this the other day about women are going to have to tailor themselves around the needs of the man they need, be inconvenienced for somebody. So I get what you're saying. Somebody that requires you to be out of your comfort zone. Be more.
yes, and
Go ahead.
excuse me, yes, and I feel like as young women in the social media age, I disagree with her when she said that social media does not ruin relationships. I absolutely think it does because we weren't, as humans, designed to have opinions from billions and billions of people. We were designed to only be validated by our village, and when it becomes more than that, we can't handle it, and so we go on power trips. We start thinking that we're more powerful than we truly are, instead of just regular human beings. Because if you take,
I think she knows that that's true, but when you get to but I'm not going to justify it. Even if I think she knows, I think it was reckless to say. I think it was reckless to say because you're going against the facts, the data, the research. Go ahead.
yeah. And I just had one more thing to say. That I tell people a lot of the times, like when I speak to young women, because I'm 27 and like I said, I've been married for almost 4 years now. That marriage is a choice daily. Like she says a lot of the time that if it's gonna work out, it's gonna work out, and if it's not meant to be, it's not meant to be. Well, in actuality, everything that you do is a choice, and marriage is a choice daily. Like if
Yep.
my husband does something that I don't like, it's like, is it gonna be, oh, I'm gonna run to my dad, I'm gonna leave him, or is it gonna be like, you know what, I'm gonna stick it out because it's not worth it. The
Thank
bigger
you.
picture is much more worth it than just these little
I agree.
minuscule things. Like I got off social media about a month ago completely because I found that they were fake relationships. Social media is a fake
Yeah,
place,
they're not.
and
It's
we
not
put it
real.
on such right. We put it on such high of a pedestal to where we think our lives revolve around a relationship. Which that's why I feel sorry for her, because she feels like her pedestal and her title and whoever she is on social media is more important than what her potential husband might want. So that's all I
Okay.
wanted to say. But I love you,
Oh,
Kevin. I love your
thank
show.
you. I appreciate it. See, I get what you're saying. Thank you. And I'm gonna say this
Thank
that
you.
look, I get where Brittany's been online for 10 years, so she's she's 30 years old. She spent a significant portion of her life online, but I think you guys, this is why we'll give benefit of the doubt to everybody. We've all gone through breakups, and when you're fresh out of a breakup, it's hard to see positive in anything. But that's where I'm like, you got to be self-aware to know that you might not be seeing clearly, and when you have a microphone, you can't just be saying these kind of things. Yeah, that's why I'm listening to some of this stuff, and I'm like, well, no, because that influence, you said it yourself, Brittany, words have life, and that if it's not positive, it needs to be counted, because when you're right in the end of a relationship, men don't have a lot of positive things to say about women either. That doesn't mean women are the problem. There's something called RP rage a lot of guys go through. But it's a cycle that you get out of. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and open it up for the guys. In order to get up, guys, you must be on camera. No crazy names. I need to be able to see you completely, and you will have 2 minutes. 2 minutes, because I want the guys to speak, because I need you ladies to understand that when a lot of you folks out here talk about men, the men you are with, you don't make distinctions and say the man I chose. You say we as women need to do this as men. And I don't think you ladies really want to go to war with me. I'm going to be real. There's this thing called a gender war, and men have been pretty damn passive. You really don't want to go to war with me, because it's not going to benefit anybody. Let's see. Hello?
Hey, Kevin.
Hey, how are you?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm okay. How old are you?
25.
All right. What do you got to say?
I thought it was good. I thought what you were saying about Brittany was interesting. I started saying this like 2 + 2 = 4, and I was seeing that. I think she was trying to go back and redefine two.
She was trying to go back and do what too?
Redefine two. And certain things. There is order to certain things.
Right.
What a lot of it also was like, I thought she was lacking a little bit of empathy from a male's point of view, and I think she might be still, with the relationship as public.
Yeah.
I think
Well, yeah, and that's why I try to give people the benefit of the doubt, but I also have to say I am an advocate for men, and when you start speaking, when you're just talking about your relationship, that's one thing. When you start trying to galvanize women and speaking I'm gonna side for men, because we don't have plenty of people to side for men. And it'll be no different than if I was upset and I had a breakup with my lady friend. I may need to take some time off, because or you make sure when you get on that you stay on task. That's really what. Let me just say this: as influencers and content creators, we're people, and we're fallible and everything else. But in times of emotional stress, it's better to either take a break or just stick to a topic. Don't get up there and just shoot off at the hip. Mo, what's going on? How old are you?
33.
All right, what do you got for me?
I actually like disagree with her. I feel like I think with this new era, these women don't have to do anything but take pictures and think that a man's supposed to just take care of them and they're supposed to get paid off of a social media, off of them just looking pretty under somebody's arm. So I just don't really agree with the way that she moves and had these women thinking that they don't need to be doing anything with their life, but just take pictures and we supposed to be like, oh, you so pretty and cute. I'm gonna take care of you. I just don't like that. That's just how I look at it. It's new society with women now.
Well, now okay. So, is it her being an Instagram model and getting paid for her beauty? Because that's always happened.
Right. But I think it was but the models they had to go through doing stuff. They just turn their camera on and take
Okay, well, then just like us though, you got to be fair though. Just like we can open social media channels, and I could be an influencer today, and I used to have to go through the machine. I mean, I can't fault a beautiful woman for cashing on her beauty more than I can fault a smart man for cashing in on his intelligence.
Right.
I think where I agree with you is when you start if you start your impression on other people. That's where I think what you're saying. Did I get that right?
That's exactly what you're saying.
Okay, I got it. Yeah, I agree with that. It's kind of like, because it was my thing when people come from what I consider the industry. And they talk about life like it's to be so easy. And it's like, well, I don't play basketball or football, or I can't rap. I got to get up and go to work and make these dollars and work these structures and everything else. So I got different pressures. So yeah, I get you. And I think, as influencers, you got to remember that. That's why I always, even though I talk about high value or whatever, I always make sure that, because I come from average everyday people, I'm from Oklahoma. You never forget the average folks, because the average people are the reason why you got any damn thing anyway. So, Mark, how are you?
I'm good, Mr. Samuels. How are you, sir?
I'm good. How old are you?
46.
What do you got for me?
My concern with Britney's rhetoric is of course the message that she's trying to put out there, as far as it becomes a double standard, where she's talking about how feminism needs to become a call to arms for all women, and at the same time she's talking about her truth and the universe. And I found them kind of contradictory, sir, in the big scheme of things, as far as how it affects relationships for us folks out here in the dating market.
Okay, so how do you think the contradiction affects average folks in the dating market?
Well, I think it allows a lot of women to feel that they can have the same type of power that Britney has by getting on social media and allowing them to say, well, here's a picture of my bottom. Let me get all these likes, and now let a modeling agency find me. And it doesn't always work that way for everybody. And not everybody's going to hook up with someone like PJ or Steph or any sports athlete or entertainer. It's not realistic.
Well, more than I look at her looks, that's why I kind of stay away. There's always been models and women who made money on their beauty. That's always happened. I think the bigger concern is the thing about how we interact with one another. Women need to be in their truth, and we need to stop shrinking ourselves down. And I'm like, how do you go tell a school teacher who marries a plumber that she doesn't need to shrink herself down? I was like, we're regular people. There's no shrinkage. See, what we've done is we have so greatly diminished the role of what a wife and a husband are. That's why I don't like this term partners, because husband is a proper title, wife is a proper title, and we don't give them their level of grandiosity and respect, to where people are trying to get their clout, respect in other ways. Go ahead.
And to kind of bridge on your point, I think that she's definitely using identity politics to further support that. And in this day and age where average people like myself are trying to get with an average woman, we can't sit here and support. I think the identity becomes the married couple once they're together, and whoever takes the forefront on that, of course, should be the man. However, people don't realize that men will honor the women that they marry because they have decided to stand by their man.
Right.
And that's I think that is something that modern women are glaring over every day, sir.
Okay. Well, I appreciate it. Do me a favor, guys. Go ahead and drop out. I want to clear some more space. So,
Yes, sir.
Dylan, go ahead and bounce. Mo, thank you for coming up. Mark, thank you for coming up.
Have a good night, sir.
You too. And let's see if we can get some more folks come in. We're going to get this person and that person. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Are you referring to me, Mr.
Charles, go
Sanders?
ahead. Charles, go ahead.
Okay. Hi. I sat there and I listened to Miss Rena's what she was talking about on the show. It makes me feel like there's a sort of cultural narcissism that sort of Western society has sort of instilled in the dating dynamics. Because there are elements about what she was saying that actually do strike true. The comment about how there are possibly underlying issues in a relationship that could lead to that relationship dissolving. I think that's sort of a facet of like personal responsibility. That's something that I could accept. It sort of reminds me, like mirrors the things that you advocate for. Taking responsibility is part of your plan. But everything else was just kind of all over the place, and it really just sort of reeked of this this narcissism.
When you say
That
narcissism,
sort of
when you say narcissism, what do you mean? 'Cause I know what it means.
Well, when I say narcissism, I'm referring to a low level of empathy, a sense of focus on the self and how those actions affect themselves, as opposed to how those actions radiate out to the people around you.
Delmar, what do you got? What do you think about what he's saying? What do you got? Have anything you want to say about what he's saying? Or you got your own? Got something you want to add? Go ahead.
I just basically want to say thanks for the program, thanks for the platform, and I've learned a lot since I've been watching, and just really came on to say thanks.
Okay. Do you have anything that you want to add on the topic tonight, though? I appreciate
Yes, sir,
it.
thanks.
Thank you, my friend. Okay, see, one thing I will say, guys, is we should try to keep it a little bit more concise. I'm going to bring on a few more people. Let's bring this part. Go. Hello? Essential. Hello? Essential? Hello?
Good evening.
Your
Good
first
evening,
name?
Mr. Sanders. How you doing, sir?
I'm good. What's your first name?
Well, I'm under my company right now. It's under Essential Entities. But my name is Sharon Ocean. You know me. We had a consultation.
Okay, so what do you got for me on the top?
I think that the young lady, I like the way you did what you did, because what happens is that even though a lot of guys like myself is in disagreement with you bringing something like that on the platform, I think that her actually coming on the platform kind of like substantiates the points that you're trying to make.
Yeah.
It's very intelligent, I think. Sometimes you have to say, okay, you don't understand what I'm saying, let me show you a few examples.
Yeah.
And
if you own a business, you understand heavy is the head, and sometimes you have to do things that may be unpopular with staff, even a segment of your customer base. But as long as you know why you're doing it, because eventually I knew something was going to happen. Because at the end of the day, if it's about men being first and there's hierarchy and structure, people have to be able to see more than just your opinion, my opinion. We have to be able to see it kind of play out. The people we can kind of identify. And I think that is why it made sense. Go ahead.
Let's go to the news and find out just how the politicians are screwing us all over.
You help me hear had to break it down.
Safe again with conscious advanced hand sound.
And I did the necessary steps that I had to take. I listened to y'all guys. I listened to everybody. And then I listened to you continuously prove these points that's frustrating.